Breaking news.
Now, as of January 7th, 2025, the Palisades community is engulfed in flames.
The Palisades fire keeps spreading.
The fast-moving fire is destroying many homes.
Palisades fire continues to rage throughout the community.
A devastating wildfire, dubbed the Palisades Fire, is destroying many communities and homes.
The fire has now destroyed over 10,000 acres.
The Palisades.
The Palisades.
The Palisades.
Fire.
Fire.
Devastation.
My name is Chris Burton. I'm an engineer with Los Angeles City Fire Department. I've been on the department for 25 years. My district is where the fire started. Basically, when you leave, there's a neighborhood, and these are all like our neighbors. These are like our friends. We knew everybody that lived back here in these streets. Most people lost everything. It was hard. It was real hard. Like the day after, my wife knew what was going on, but I don't think my daughter realized. And she's 15 and a half. So I called her before school just to catch her, like, hey, I'm okay. And she did, like, we both started crying, and it was just like, oh my God, what happened last night. It made me definitely appreciate my family a lot more. It was one of those things, like, I got home and I couldn't hug my daughter tight enough. I couldn't hug my wife tight enough. It makes me really appreciate what we had. It was just a crazy, miserable night. We tried so many, like, we were trying to put out a house, and then we turn around and put out another house, and the one you just put out is on fire. And then you try to go back to the one you were trying to save earlier, now that's on fire. And then, like, we tried to save, we have a friend that lives down the street, she owns a dress shop. And we drove by at night and put her building out, like, we saved it. And we drove by an hour later, and the whole thing was fully involved on fire. So it was just like defeat after defeat all night long.
Hi, my name is Doug Wolken, and I'm from Pacific Palisades. Fortunately, the home that I grew up in survived the fires. Unfortunately, the community has been destroyed, and many of my friends have lost their homes in this tragic event. So, believe it or not, I was there the morning of the fires, and I left an hour before everyone was evacuated, and it was blowing like you would never. I've never seen Santa Ana blow this hard, and my father lives on a fairly steep street, and trash cans were blowing down the street like they were on ice. And I had left shortly after seeing all that wind and to drive back down to San Diego. Next thing I know, my father called me and said, there's a fire and we're evacuating. I continued down to San Diego because there was really nothing else I could do. It was so unbelievable and unfathomable to drive through the Palisades and actually just, it's just so hard to explain. Everything that you know, every street, every house, all your friends' houses that you knew that you would run through each house, spend the nights at different people's houses, all those places were just gone. Can't believe I'm getting emotional. But that town was really amazing. I mean, some of the greatest moments in my life and friendships to this day. It just was amazing town, from all the firsts, your first girlfriend, your first beer. It was really just a special place and a real special group of people. And to have such a special place get completely decimated and have your entire childhood completely erased, obviously memories are not erased, but all the landmarks are just gone.
My name's Lisa Odenwiller, and I lost my home in the Pacific Palisades fire on January 7th, 2025. I had moved into my home in the Palisades in August of 2024, and I had not been there for very long. However, I had been waiting 13 years to move to LA and to the Palisades. And on January 6th, I remember we were like dancing in the house, and all of a sudden I got this text, and the text said, expect catastrophic winds tomorrow and fires. Like, it was so dramatic that we literally thought that this was like we were being punked. So when we woke up on January 7th, my daughter was really nervous because the home set up on the hill, it was on stilt. And she's like, Mom, I smell smoke. And I came outside and I was like, yeah, I kind of do too. She's like, wait, Mom, I think I see smoke. And so I came back out, and sure enough, we saw smoke. And I said, you know what? Why don't we just pack up? Because we don't want to be in a situation where we can't drive out of here. But at no point did I think I was not coming back to my home. I want to mention that as this smoke was billowing, there was no wind. Very, very, very little wind. And I think something that's not talked about in the media is that they said that, they couldn't put out the fires because the wind was so extreme, or they couldn't fly the airplanes that could help put out the fires because of the wind. And it was not for at least 6 hours where there was extreme wind. And I think it's really, really, really important that people understand the truth, because there's no reason that this fire that destroyed thousands and thousands of homes and 2 incredible communities could not have been put out. I couldn't go back to the house for a couple weeks because it was too traumatic. Unfortunately, because I didn't go see it, the rains happened. My entire home washed down the mountain. Everything I've ever owned in my entire life was in that home. One of the hardest parts is just knowing that those memories, that memorabilia is gone. And I was in a breathwork class, and as soon as I closed my eyes, the first thing I saw was my stuffed animal rabbit. And it was very, very just precious and near and dear to me. And it represented that everything was going to be okay. And I started bawling hysterically for somebody who finally last August got to move somewhere where I was going to be grounded and not nomading. And here I am now nomading again. I resisted that for a long time. I guess at some point with time you heal. And I realized resisting the reality of my situation wasn't going to help. So I finally surrendered, and I think I'm now on the other side where the positive, and I never wish this on anybody, but the positive is that I don't own anything anymore. And there's some freedom and liberation in that.